do? Where do they go in town? What can we do? What's going to happen in the future? They go, your cell phone use is going to like increase by tenfold, and everybody in the audience moans. Well, you all got cell phones. What are you moaning about? What are you going to do? Not use them? You know, and then you go to media fast. Go, well, I can do without it. How many people in here have ever fasted? Okay, why'd you fast? Just yell out.
For the experience.
The feeling.
Okay, how?
Yeah.
To establish control.
To understand the effects.
Who else?
Just to clean out.
Clean out. There's the bingo where you won. There's a baby blue Riviera parked out in the alley. You won it, and all you got to do is pry the keys out of the dead junkie, and it's all yours. So this is the point. Marshall invented this line called media fast. It's to cleanse. It's to do without so you can figure out. So if everyone in here said, well, I'm not going to use my cell phone for a day, then we met back in here. Is Jasmine here? Jasmine, thank you for having us. Thank you. It was a great art gallery. Well, I'll tell you, art galleries have lots of services. Free wine.
Number one.
If she said, okay, we'll open it up again tomorrow for you for an hour, and we all met back tomorrow, here's the key to immediate fast. Then we go, well, what happened? And then we go around, Robin, and say, well, my mother was dying and I couldn't save her because my cell phone was turned off. Well, that's a disservice. We go around and figure out what's called pattern recognition. We study the patterns of doing without a cell phone, and then we could get comprehensive awareness or get a bigger picture view of what cell phones do to us on the psychic level. So Marshall was keen to do shop. He named his first book, Mechanical Bride. That's a car. Studying advertising, 51, way before Mad Men. In fact, you know, this is the Guide to Mad Men, which is a TV show I've never seen, but I hear it's good. And the cool thing is, I'll tell you a really quick anecdote that I just studied with the gentleman who's making a documentary on Howard Gossage, who is a San Francisco ad man who saved, really green and environmentally concerned, saved the Grand Canyon, first guy ever to put a picture on a t-shirt. Mark, stand up and show him. T-shirt on, t-shirt with picture. How many people do that? That is it. Nick's got one too. He put Beethoven's picture on a sweatshirt. This is the 60s. Was the PR guy for Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters, and did a lot of important advertising, like breaking new ground with advertising. And people go, advertising bad. No, he understood advertising is this, as Marshall said, the cave art of the 20th century. And he he's reading Marshall McLuhan's book, Understanding Media, and calls him up and says, dude, you nailed it. I'll make you famous. I'll give you $6,000. Marshall said, okay. So Marshall McLuhan became famous, not because he wrote good books, because an ad man was behind him. So it's like, that's why he's discounted in the academic world. They go, that guy's a shyster. In fact, my friend was with Richard Schinkel, who's a Time magazine film critic for many years, a very good film scholar, wrote a book on Marty Scorsese and all these people. He goes up to him and says, so, Richard, what do you think of Marshall McLuhan? He goes, fraud. Richard goes, and then Richard Singh goes, well, 3/4 fraud. He says, well, what you should have asked him after that is, well, what do you think of him as a Menippean satirist? See, they don't realize that what Marshall was doing is a form of media fasting, and sometimes called shamanism, or trickster, compassionate trickster, is he's in academia, and he's acting like an academic, but he's teasing people to believe his percepts or concepts. So in academia, you have to have concepts. Here's the theory, and you prove it, now repeat it back to me. You know, and he would fake them out and say these are just percepts. And so this is just feeling. So that's main thing Marshall learned. from Edgar Allan Poe, who spawned the Symbolists, who spawned Patti Smith, Jim Morrison, Bob Dylan, the rock poets, is that it doesn't matter what you say, it's how it makes you feel. Back to Lakoff. Just go for hope. It's the feeling you're after. It's the effect you're after. It's not so much the content. In fact, go to another poet who affected Marshall McLuhan, T.S. Eliot, and he taught him this. It's pretty simple. It's called the watchdog of your mind. George and Eric know about dogs. As George Clinton said, it ain't nothing but the dog in me. So he's the atomic dog. So this is when you're a robber, a crook, and you're going to your neighbor's house to rip them off, their plasma TV, their guard dog comes out, and you just whip out a juicy steak, and you give it to the guard dog, and the guard dog just scampers off, and then you can go do your crime. Okay, what the juicy steak represents is content. That's what we usually go for. We go for the content. We're disguising you with number 8, 7, 6. This is, you know, it doesn't matter what's up here. It's fun we can look at pictures and hear spoken word at the same time. But content really doesn't matter, is the sort of joke. Both of them matter. Form and content matter. But we usually go for the content. And we don't understand the form. So if you go to a movie, let's take the biggest movie ever in the history of the world, Avatar. James Cameron said, oh wow, I'm anti the man, I'm pro Mother Nature, and I'm anti-war. I'm making the biggest movie in the history of the world. Ask anybody. So what'd you think? They're coming out of the movie. What'd you think? Good special effects. You know, I'm ready to fucking tear down the White House and end war. It didn't make people do that. Although James Wider, who I interviewed yesterday, made an amazing documentary on Stanley Kubrick called Kubrick's Odyssey. You can watch online free. He said he went and watched Avatar. This is what he'd like to do at a movie theater. You're all supposed to sit there and look at the screen. He turned around and watched the people. And he's in a redneck town with all these conservatives watching Avatar, and they're all crying. And he's like, they look at him, he's looking at them, and they're like trying to make like they're not crying. So it affected them emotionally, but it did affect them to go do something. So Sidney Lumet made socially active films his whole life, saying, I want to change the world with my films. I have intention, but I know I can't do diddly squat, but it ain't going to keep me from trying. So again, that is a weird phenomenon. What do? We embrace contradiction. We embrace the duality. There's a paradox happening here. How do we deal with it? Because you mean I can be an artist and intend, like Michael Moore wants people to talk about healthcare. I saw one of his films, and it's like 10 minutes of 6 adults intelligently talking about healthcare for 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck? I can't believe this could even happen in a popcorn movie. But people love to hate Michael Moore because sledgehammer effect. He's trying a little too hard, they say. Like Jean-Luc Godard saw Fahrenheit 9/11 at Cannes Film Festival, and he went up to Michael and he says, this film's going to help Bush get elected. Well, it didn't necessarily help Bush get elected, but it galvanized pro-Bushers.